Helena, haven't you prepared the meals and cleaned the house as I told you yesterday? You have come to this house for not too long, but it's not a reason for you to be lazy. Hi, Mom. I'm at my work right now. What a pity I couldn't come home right now. But don't you worry, Mom. As soon as I finish my work and go home, I will do all of them immediately. And you don't need to remind me about that. I know my place in this house. So you have just admitted that you didn't do it, right? I know that you have been a lazy and careless daughter-in-law all along. Right from the first time. I knew it. I am not lazy. It's just that I cannot do the work right now. You know that, don't you? Okay, that's good. Instead of saying sorry to me, you blame everything on your work. If you want me to believe in your lie, you'd better learn to find some more fair and reasonable excuses for that. I will never lie to you, even a word. Okay, I've listened to that quite a lot now. So do you think the job that you do is more important than your responsibility to look after this family? And I don't even order you to do much, not even heavy work. Are preparing meals and making the house speckless that hard for you to do? I have never had that thought in my mind. Actually, I am the person who does it every day. I am the one who sweeps the floor, cleans the bathroom, even prepares our daily meals. And after all these works, I am not given any recognition from you. And now you criticize me for this little thing? Even when I have made my promise to complete them just to make you happy? Well. So you think that you could get away with your job? You think that just because you work in the big company with my son, I will forgive you? No. Remember, my son is a wealthy manager of the company. Look at you! You are just a small and tiny employee in that company. I know, but I am doing my best in that position and I'm proud about my work. I earn money just like your son does. What's wrong with that? Yes, of course. I do think that you are so lucky to have that chance to work in that company compared to your inferior background. I think you are being unreasonable about this. And please don't insult my background or my family. They don't have to suffer this. I have tried my best to do my role as a good wife and an obedient daughter-in-law, but you never try to evaluate and recognize my hard work. Sure, it's because you don't ever try to do what a good daughter-in-law should do. Let me tell you. My son might be blind and fail to see your scheme to exploit him for his wealth. Discovering that your parents are simply farmers doesn't change my opinion of you as a mere working class individual. Oh, I see. You're a dreamy country girl aspiring to find a handsome and charming guy in the city, right? You plan to gradually take over my son's possessions, this entire house, and eventually bring your parents here while kicking me to the curb, don't you? I'm having trouble grasping your point. Why would I resort to such deceitful tactics? While it's true that my family isn't swimming in wealth, my parents always emphasize kindness and decency. Moreover, the idea of relocating to this bustling has never crossed my parents' minds. So your concerns and somewhat delusional assumptions are unfounded. Really? How about tricking my son in your workplace? That could have happened. You knew he was about to be promoted. So you decided to flirt with him and manipulate him into impregnating you so you could force me into adopting a grandchild? Miss Sarah, I've tried to be patient and respectful, considering your role as my husband's mother and your status as an adult. However, there comes a point where I can tolerate baseless accusations and disrespect any longer. I married your son because at that time, I truly love him for his personality, not your property. And it's your son who first wanted me to get married and come to this house. So I implore you to stop belittling and demeaning me. You're such a wicked girl.
Helena, didn't you wash clothes for me? I told you that I needed these clothes for my meeting tomorrow. Don't you remember that? I'm too tired to live like this. Being tired all the time at work, and then when I came home, all that welcomed me was a mess in my house? What kind of wife are you?
Calm down, Henry. It's not that a big deal. Actually, I also want to tell you in advance. It's not that I didn't wash the clothes. The truth is, our washing machine has just been broken, and I'm just about to have it fixed right now. You don't have to make a fuss about it, Henry. It's not that serious. I'm also as tired as you are. You know that. So instead of scolding your wife, can you just ask me softly as you used to do?
Broken? Seriously? How did that even happen? We can't afford these unexpected expenses right now. And what am I supposed to wear to my oh so important meeting tomorrow?
Oh, I totally understand your frustration, Henry. But seriously, yelling at me won't magically fix the washing machine. I've already called the repair service, and they're supposed to show up as soon as possible. In the meantime, I can try my hand at washing your precious clothes, but don't expect miracles. It might take forever. But can you chill out for a second? I'm doing my absolute best to handle this mess. We all have our moments of exhaustion and stress. Instead of, flipping it out on me, maybe we can find a solution together? Just a thought.
I don't give a care if you are tired or not, okay? And seriously, everything seems to be falling apart lately. Work is like this never-ending nightmare, and coming home to a disaster of a house just adds to the stress. It's hard not to feel frustrated and annoyed just because of the mess you created.
Oh, wow, Henry. I created the mess? Seriously? Listen, I've been busting my butt for long hours too, trying to keep up with everything. The house being a mess is not some evil plot, okay? I tried my best to keep everything okay, but I just couldn't make things perfect every time. So instead of playing the blame game, let's focus on finding solutions and being all supportive and stuff. Can we at least try to be decent human beings here?
How dare you say that to me? You don't have the right to do that. I'm the breadwinner of this family, not you. You are my wife, and what you have to do is just obey my order. Got it? And why don't you think about washing them by hand? It's easy for a woman like you to do, right?
But I'm snowed under with all of my reports from work. We work together. You should actually be the one who understands it the most, right?
Actually, it's not that hard for you to do. All I can see is a lazy and useless wife who always waiting for me to help with some trivial housework that you can do on your own. That's not a good attitude, Helena. Change it or I will change you.
Okay, I'll tell you what. I am at work all day, then I take care of a child, and you don't even help me with a single work. I'm not a goddess. I couldn't have the ability to satisfy everyone. You are my husband. You should understand me and even offer to help me to do single stuff. I don't want to marry a naughty boy. I want to marry a true husband.
What do you mean? You criticize me? Let me tell you this. If I know this day will come, I will never marry you. Having you here just makes my family feel annoyed and irritated. My mother was right all along about marrying you. You are just an inferior wife. You will never be of help for me. It's easy to see that with this background, you will never deserve my family's expectations. What a parasite you are! Instead of helping your husband, you just never stop depending on me, on my manager's occupations to earn a living. That's good, right? Because when you can take over my house and my property, you will become rich immediately without even trying. How intelligent is that scheme? But no way I will let you do that. With this money, I could easily find a much better wife than you.
You have changed so much since I first met you. I can't recognize you anymore.
Oh, really? And what's that supposed to mean, Helena?
It means that the person I fell in love with was kind, supportive, and understanding. But now, all I see is resentment and disdain. I can't help but feel like I no longer know who you are.
Well, maybe if you hadn't been such a burden to my family, things would be different. You act like you've suffered so much, but what about the sacrifices my family made for you?
Sacrifices? Is that what you call it? I never asked for anyone to sacrifice anything for me. I have endured so much pain from your family without complaining a single word. I have served like a slave, trying my best to satisfy the needs of this family. And yet, all I get in return is to be looked down upon, treated as if I'm some kind of parasite.
That's rich coming from you. You think you're the only one who has suffered? I've had to deal with your constant nagging and demands, always trying to please you. I've put up with so much, and for what? To be criticized and belittled by you?
It's not about who suffered more, Henry. It's about the lack of respect and appreciation in this relationship. Instead of acknowledging the efforts I put in, you throw it back in my face. We're supposed to be partners, supporting and understanding each other, but all I feel is resentment and hostility from you.
Well, maybe if you had been a better wife, I wouldn't be so resentful. You failed to meet my expectations time and time again.
Expectations? Is that what this is about? I can't live up to your unrealistic expectations, Henry. No one can. I'm tired of constantly trying to please you and feeling like I'm never good enough.
Well, I don't give about it. Now stand right up and do the washing. Better do it now or else you will have to pay for it.
We have thrown all of your stuff away. Haha, serve you right. What? How could you do that? To your daughter-in-law? What's the difference? That doesn't make any sense. I've had enough of you and your terrible attitude. It's time for you to leave you. Out of my sight. But how could you treat me like that? I have done nothing wrong to you and this family, even obeying all of your orders. Why do I have to leave this house? Why? Because you don't deserve all of this. This luxurious house, fancy clothes, nice rooms, all of them. Inferior girls like you will never be able to live in such good conditions like this. So go back to your dirty countryside with your parents and don't you ever come back. But what about my son? It's your grandson. You can't just leave him like that. He needs the love from both father and mother. You're a mom. You understand it the most, don't you? It's your son, not mine. Why do I have to take responsibility for raising him even though he was the product of your trick on my son? I told you, it's he who wanted to marry me. I don't have any scheme for you and Henry. Why do you choose not to believe me? Do you think that you're so reliable? Not with me. From the first time, I knew that you were just a filthy, crooked girl who wants to exploit rich men like my son. Don't make such excuses. It's no use. And please, take your son with you. Don't think that I'm cruel. We will give you as much money as you need to raise him. So you don't have to worry about anything related to financial problems. I know that you would really want to stay in this house so that you and your son could take over it and kick us out of the house as you wish. But we already knew it. So in your dreams. Anyway, because you once was my daughter-in-law, I would tell my son to transfer an amount of money, about $500 a month, to raise your child. Is that enough for such an ambitious girl like you? Miss Sarah, I think that there's some misunderstandings here. The reason I want to stay here is that I want my own son to grow with the presence of both father and mother. I want him to have the best environment to develop himself. Remember, I have work of my own, and I myself still raise a child with my own expenses. I'm not as materialistic as you are, so don't put me on the same level as you. Well, it's good to hear that. Finally, my dear daughter-in-law knows how to look after herself. Don't you think that instead of scolding your mother-in-law, you should say thanks to her because it's her that helps you to grow much more mature than you used to be? But please, just tell me, why did you want me to move out? Everything's still good, and I have tried my best to do the housework and take good care of you and your son. It's not fair that you treat me like one of your packages. I will not let you do that to me. Okay, you wanna know why? Okay, Miss Wanna Know Everything? I'll tell you why. I have found for my son a really beautiful and obedient new fiancée. Surprise? You would not believe how wonderful she is. She is really nice and polite to me, caring for me just like her blooded parents. She does not say rude things to me like you. That's why I want her to be my daughter-in-law. What about Henry? What about him? No need to worry a thing about him. He's now much happier than you might think. When I first showed him the girl, he fell in love with her at hello. But who could not fall in love with such an amazing girl? So, Helena, you'd better know your place and divorce with him right away. Just give him freedom to choose his own happiness. He has suffered enough. So you tricked me all that time. Make me to be your slave and then throw me out like throwing an inferior animal just because I'm not as rich as you. If you say so, then okay. I will sign a divorce paper as the last good thing that I could do for you. Marrying Henry and becoming your daughter-in-law would forever be my worst choice that I made in my life. But mark my words, you all will never gain happiness all your life. So try to enjoy this moment before it's gone. Yes, whatever. I hope we'll never meet each other again. Hi, Sarah. Wow, we met again. What a coincidence. Is it fun to see that your son is gonna be put in jail? It serves him right. With all of the bad things you two have done, this is never enough. So it was you all along? You recorded the audio of him stealing the company's money and posted it on the company's group? How dare you do that? After all that we have granted you, and you pay us this way? You granted me what? You mean treating me like a stupid slave and criticizing me from day to day? Or throwing me out of your house like a dog? I don't need these filthy things. All in all, if he hadn't done it, I would not have been able to film the video. What goes around comes around. It's my fault to allow you to go into our house for the first time. If I didn't allow you, you would never have the chance to accuse him of committing embezzlement. Okay, listen. It's your son who committed the crime. I just caught it. Don't blame it on me. Anyway, he has been fired now and almost ready to go to prison. If you want to meet him, you'd better pack your stuff. But don't you have to take everything this serious? I mean, you are also a mom, right? You should know how painful it feels to see your son like this. So now you are so brave enough to speak those words? Of course I do. That's also how I felt when I was suddenly kicked out of your house. You don't know how embarrassed and exhausted I felt at that time. Yeah, how could you know? You are a monster. After I had been out of the house, fortunately, one of my best friends helped me so that I could stay in her house until I stabilized my emotional health. She also helped me a lot in taking care of my child. Therefore, I could fully focus on planning my revenge. What? Yeah, unbelievable, right? I will never have enough courage to do it in your house. But now I do. To tell the truth, I was suspicious that Henry committed embezzlement a long time ago, when I saw him buy luxurious things like watches, cars, every day, even though his salary will never be enough to cover that cost. One day, I had to stay in the company after work to OT for my deadlines. Then I heard him saying to himself that he had stolen a total of $20,000 from the company without being caught. And this had happened several times, not just once. Fortunately, I just pushed the recording button, put my phone near him, and bingo! I have my evidence. He's so into his plan that he didn't realize that I was there all along. I know that we have done bad things to you. I'm really sorry for that. I apologize now, so could you delete that audio and save him? I know you still love him, right? Love him? What on earth are you even talking about? We're strangers now. Don't you ever think that I would give you a chance to get away with it? I know we don't deserve your help, but I don't have any options. You are a nice girl. You would help us when we face difficulties, right? So what about your petty new daughter-in-law? Won't she help you anymore? She left us to marry a wealthier guy. I'm feeling guilty right now. I'm sorry for treating you so badly. But if you delete the audio and help Henry out of prison, I promise I'll make things right. Please help me. We'll change. We promise we'll become better people. This is a situation of you and your son's own making, and it's not my place to fix it for you. You need to face the consequences of your actions and find a way to resolve this on your own. So long! After that, Henry was put into prison due to his committing embezzlement. It was a devastating blow for Sarah, who had always believed in his innocence. Determined to prove his wrongful conviction, Sarah spared her best effort and spent all of her money to hire the best lawyers in town. She tirelessly searched for evidence, conducted investigations, and reached out to potential witnesses, hoping to uncover the truth and secure Henry's release. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, but all of Sarah's actions seemed to be in vain. With the audio that I provided, Henry was then sentenced to 5 years in prison. As the legal battle drained Sarah's savings, she faced a harsh reality. She had to sell her house to sustain herself and continue fighting for Henry's freedom. It was a heart-wrenching decision, but she was willing to sacrifice everything for the man she loved. With her house gone, Sarah found herself living a miserable life in a dingy flat. The once vibrant and comfortable home was now replaced by a cramped and gloomy space. The walls held no memories, and the air seemed heavy with despair. To make ends meet, Sarah took a job as a scullion in a small eating stall. The long hours, menial tasks, and low wages were a far cry from her previous life of comfort and security. Yet, she had to swallow her pride and embrace the work, knowing that every penny she earned would contribute to Henry's legal defense. Meanwhile, in stark contrast to Sarah's struggles, my own life took a different trajectory. Fueled by hard work and persistence, I excelled in my career. Opportunities seemed to gravitate towards me, and I was soon promoted to a position of authority. With each step up to the corporate ladder, my income grew exponentially, providing financial stability for my family. All in all, if you ask me whether I feel guilty, of course, I'll definitely say no. Because karma is inevitable. So these are all they have to suffer for the bad things they have done to my life. And I will never forgive them for the rest of my life.